Adam Taylor, here we are in Newhall. Tell us a little about your company, and at some stage talk a little bit about rockets.
Okay, so my company is an electronic engineering consultancy company that really focuses on a lot of high reliability applications that electronics are used in. So we do a lot of work with clients in the automotive field, in the industrial and science field as well. But mostly actually we're quite well known around the world for the work we do with space agencies and rockets. So normally what we're working on actually picks a lift on the rocket, so it's a satellite that's launched by the rocket. So we do a lot of electronic design work for companies and space agencies. So we've just recently, last year we had an ESA contract. This year we've just won another ESA contract in the last few days. And a lot of that is to help them sort of create better quality engineering designs and get their designs out there. But we're working on some really quite exciting projects. So if you've sat in front of a computer, you might want to take a look at the ESA Plato mission. So that's a satellite that's going to fly out into space, and it's going to use a number of optical cameras to actually find new planets. So that's what we hope. And we're currently involved in developing one of the payloads for that. So where it would probably be termed the world's most expensive thermostat if I was to begin to explain it to you. But that's what it does. So we're designing the electronics, the software for it, the field programmable gate array design for it, which is, I'll get killed for saying it's software by the nerds, but it's the most relatable thing, I guess, that most people would understand. So that's sort of one area that we do. The other area, as well as doing the actual design work, is we do a lot of we have a mission critical training course, so how to design electronics for harsh environments. So to deal with weather, shock, vibration, radiation that you might see, and that's really popular. And we teach that around the world. Obviously, pre-COVID, we would perhaps have travelled and done it in person. Post-COVID, we're doing it online actually. And there's an interesting point there, because actually post-COVID and people doing it online, it's actually probably helped that course be run more often, because there's not so much time spent flying from A to B to C, and people having to schedule it in. You can just do it across a number of Zoom sessions. So we teach that to companies, to new space companies that are doing rocket design. I'm not going to really mention any names if that's okay, because they might get funny about that. But so we teach them that. We teach it to, in the next week, we're teaching it to a department of the US Space Agency. And they've got a lot of engineers that we're going to be talking to that about. And then the week after that, actually, we're working with CERN on the Large Hadron Collider and doing a similar course to that. So we do a whole range of sort of exciting electronic design.
So when you saw the most recent mission to Mars, is that for you and for many people a really exciting venture?
That was really quite cool. But what everybody misses, because I was watching it online as well. You watch it go down. What everybody misses is the fact that it's already happened by the time you get that message. By the time you get the message back, they're saying this has happened, that's happened. It happened 11 minutes ago. So due to the distance involved. So I mean, that's really exciting. It's really amazing. And a few years ago, actually, not the Perseverance one, but the previous lander, the one with the sky crane. So I was in the US in San Jose, and I was talking to a guy from JPL. JPL are the company, the Jet Propulsion Labs. They're kind of a joint organisation between NASA and Caltech. And I was talking to one of their engineers. I was at this conference. One of their engineers, he was giving a talk about the lander that had just gone down with the sky crane for the first time they'd used a sky crane, and he was saying, the sky crane was the least crazy idea they could come up with to do this. And I would love to know what other ideas they'd had and then discounted. But it's really exciting. It's technology's great, and Mars is now the only planet that's inhabited purely by robots.
But what you do, and here we are in 2021, you work from Newhall, but you speak to people all over the world. Did you envisage that 20, 30 years ago?
Well, we just talked about it. Not really, actually. No, I mean, the internet has been a really great thing to allow companies to get out there and do some work and some communication. So I work a lot on I think somebody described it as the give, get sort of principle. So I write a blog on sort of FPGAs and technology, and it's not sort of a news blog, it's sort of a technical how-to blog. And I spend many hours, if people email me questions or whatever, I don't get paid for it. I spend many hours helping these people out. And on the fact that it tends to come back to you in return at a later point in time. So I think the internet's really good because it allows, daily I talk to people from sort of, Australia, New Zealand, the United States, Europe.
I think a few weeks ago we were going to do an interview, and you said, I can't do today, I'm lecturing some students in India. How does that work? And is it simply you and some students, and it's a Zoom, and that's it?
Yeah, pretty much that's it. Yeah, just me on Zoom or Teams or whatever platform they want to use, and then you just give a talk to them like you would in front of a normal group of people, really.
Isn't what you do something that should really encapsulate the minds of young Harlow students who are interested in science?
It should. And if anybody that's young in Harlow, that wants to talk about it, please drop me a line. I'm quite happy to talk to schools or whatever about it. Science and technology is great. It really, and it changes the world. It changes the world in a good way. And space is, to be fair, space is cool. It's one of the most amazing. Every day I kind of get up and you're kind of happy and amazed that you get to go and do this sort of work. When I used to work for big companies in offices, I used to be amazed that they'd let me in there to work with people that were that of that knowledge and intellect and such like.
I suppose I shouldn't let this interview go by without asking you what is out there, and are there other people out there?
I would like to think so. I would really like to think so. So there's a famous equation called the Drake equation. And that you can feed. You can have a lot of fun if you look it up on Wikipedia. You can have a lot of fun putting the little factors in there. It's a little bit of a fun equation, but depending on how you do it, there could be hundreds of thousands, or there could be life. It could be that society's advanced to a certain point technologically, and look at all the problems we have on Earth, trying to get on with each other and be friends, and then they kind of wipe themselves out, and it kind of starts again. But the big problem obviously with space is the distance. So even if there are people out there, traveling from one point to the next, the distance is just so mind-bendingly phenomenal.
But finally, we've recently met up through things like the Harlow Chamber of Commerce and Harlow Businesses. Would you like to see more collaboration between Harlow businesses?
I would. I think there's a lot of business in Harlow, actually. I think, and speaking as like an engineer and a technologist, there's a lot of engineering companies in Harlow that range from sort of electronics, like I do, to mechanical engineering, to biomedical. I think we'll just talk about it. If you walk down sort of Edinburgh Way and look at some of the companies on there, or the science park that's building up not too far from here, there's an awful lot of industry in this town.
I did say it was a final question, but you mentioned the science park, and when you see the K data building, for some of us whose expertise, if we've got any, is not in science, some of these stats are quite hard to get our heads round. Is it sometimes with science? Are you good at explaining things to the man on the street?
Apparently, that's why I've been as popular as I am in some areas. Apparently, when I write about blogs and talk about things, apparently I'm quite good at explaining it. But the data center's got some phenomenal capabilities in there. The new NVIDIA computer that's been put in there in the cloud. And there's a big move to move things from to move data and do data processing and accelerated data processing in the cloud using things that are not traditionally like your desktop computer, like Intel-based computers, but GPUs like NVIDIA provide, or FPGAs that can be put in there, and they provide quite significant. And we're talking factors of maybe depends on what you're trying to do, but you can get acceleration from sort of 10 to 1,000 times acceleration.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all.